Alright, hey there folks, John here for Biddy Kong's Quest, and if I look a little bit tired, that's because I am. I'm in the middle of a project right now, actually several projects, that's why I haven't done very many videos in a while. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon, but I did see the Close to You video that Nintendo released today, which is what you're looking at right now, and I noticed some interesting things. I think everybody's kind of thinking that it's the next Pikmin game, or a Pikmin short, or maybe a Rosalina from Mario Galaxy and Pikmin crossover kind of thing. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that here in a minute, but spoilers, I guess, if you didn't know that already. But the thing that I wanted to look at here is the fact that this is a really, really well-crafted little short film because it does a great job at hiding the things that need to be hidden. Now, a little bit of background on me. I am an editor and cinematographer, so this is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. I basically make stories with images. I edit together stories with images. I'm also a visual effects artist, and so a lot of the things that I do rely on misdirection and drawing your eye to a certain place of the frame because I want you to miss something in another part of the frame, often because there's a mistake there and I don't want you to see it, but sometimes it can be on purpose. And there's a lot of that that's being done here in this short. And I think it's really, really cool, and I wanted to talk about it. This may be a short video, it may be a long one. I really don't know. I'm kind of just talking, off the cuff here. But I felt like I had some interesting things to say, or at least some things that interested me about this video because I think it's really well done. Now, before we get started, I did want to introduce you guys to one tool that I use when teaching people about framing and about drawing the eye, and that's something called the rule of thirds. If you've ever taken a photography class, you've probably heard of this before, but basically you draw a tic-tac-toe board on the screen, and the most interesting parts of the screen are where these lines intersect. So right there and right there, right there and right there, right there and right there, and right there and right there. There's some other things about it that we'll talk about as we go. The top third line is a lot of times where you'll find people rest their eyes, or filmmakers, or even in video games, either where the eyes rest, because our eyes just kind of naturally land on this top third line right here. And then the bottom third line as well, you'll see a lot of stuff rest there, and a lot of it will kind of culminate here, 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 and here. And so it's really pretty obvious once you know this, looking through this this Close to You short. Because the whole thing, the whole purpose of it, is to make you think that, oh, it's just a cute short about a little baby learning to walk and a possessed pacifier. When in reality, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background and things that they don't want you to look at right away. They want it to be fun little Easter eggs and stuff you find, on the second, third watch, fourth watch, whatever. For me, I've watched it like 7 times at this point, and they're using basically this rule of thirds and this ability to direct your eye to fool you. So let's go through it real quick. We're just going to start from the beginning, and I'll stop when I see something. So we open up. I think that this is a really interesting way to open it up because you've got a there's only 2 shots that are from the perspective of outside. Clearly, this is an indoor story, but it's important for us to show those trees, and I think that's obvious for the reasons that I explained above, or explained before, where it's a Pikmin video. And then Mom is just helping the kid. Okay, and here's what I want to do. I want to start out on rule of thirds here. So look at what's on our third lines. You have the little baby. He is right smack dab in the middle of that lower third intersect. And then you have the mom. She's just kind of taking up this entire third line, but look how she's positioned here. This is a very classical style that you see in a lot of animations. That's probably why this feels kind of very Pixar-esque. Pixar does a lot of stuff with rule of thirds and framing. And then also where the baby is looking, the baby's looking his eyes. He's kind of looking at the mom, but also there's a knock on the door, and there's a dog barking and stuff over here. So, this also tells me, hey, this is where that sound is coming from, especially if I'm listening to it on a mono mix. I'm using my eye line here, because the eye is one of the strongest vectors you can create. A vector is anything that shoots our eyes in a certain direction. We've talked about that in the trailer breakdowns that I've done. And it's giving me an idea of, okay, where's everything coming from? Well, it's coming from over here, and it's going to be important that we direct our eye this way here in just a minute, and you'll see why. So now, oh no, Mom's got to leave, and he's sad. Notice she stopped him from crawling before he got too far away from this intersection line, so it didn't feel uncomfortable for us. Now he's sad, and you've got his eyes are kind of right here, kind of close to this top third line, and watch what happens. boom, when he gets his pacifier, he kind of drops down here. So everything we really need to pay attention to is right here. And what they're doing right here is they're training us to look for certain types of framing that they're going to use for the rest of the time. And you'll see why here in a minute. So now he's happy. He's got his pacifier. He's good. And look what's now is right on that third line, because here's what I'm going to have to pay attention to here in just a minute. It's the pacifier. Okay. Now we've got this block that starts falling, and it starts out here in the center, but look what it does. It boop, falls right down and kind of just rides this third line right here. There you go. Again, riding the third line. Look at that pacifier. It's splitting right down the, or not pacifier, that rattle splitting right down the middle, because that's what I need to be looking at. And the biggest part of the rattle, again, is right here at this intersection line. So this intersection line is going to be important for us. That's what they've trained our eyes to know. See? And when it cuts, it's still kind of riding this third line. So you have a bunch of space over here, you have some space over here, but right here, this is where we need to be looking. Okay? Now, what's important in this frame? Well, probably not a whole lot other than just the fact that, you know, you've got the baby and you've got the scenery. But where do my eyes go? My eyes go down here to the rattle, and that's because, one, that's what I was, you know, following before. But two, if I bounce up to the baby's face, look what he's doing. He's looking right down at the rattle. So we're having multiple things that are directing our eyes down here. Rattle it. Oh. And if you're like me, when you were watching this, you were really focused more on the baby than you were on this little pink thing down here. And by the time you notice it, it's right about right here, and the shot's almost over already. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? Oh, there's a little thing down there, and boom, it was already gone, and now we're down to this shot. That's how it worked for me. And I think that's on purpose, because you're not quite supposed to know what's happening here. You don't really expect things to move on their own yet. Even though it starts all the way over there, you don't really register it until it's right here, because what will happen is our peripheral vision will fill in the gaps if you basically sit on a shot for long enough. It's like your eyes will take a snapshot, and they're not really gonna update that information in your peripheral vision unless some movement hits that peripheral vision, and then your brain will reevaluate it. But the thing is, it takes about 3 or 4 frames, meaning about a sixth of a second, for our brains to reprocess that information. So by the time my brain notices, hey, there's movement, you know, somewhere around right here, by the time I actually look down, it's going to be, this block is going to already be over here. And so what's going to happen is we're going to lose a little bit of that information. So it's almost going to seem like it jumped from here to here. And that's where I notice it. And then it falls down. Now, what do we have here? Well, we have the pacifier right on the lower third line, because that's really what we need to be looking at here. Okay, and look, we have the 2 Pikmin. Again, I'm saying that it's Pikmin. We have the 2 Pikmin fighting over it right here. We have one right here, and we have one right here. Watch what they're doing with the I don't know, whatever that part of the pacifier is called. See, they're pulling on it back and forth. But before they get too much into it, and you can really tell what's going on, watch what happens. We cut out to here. And now where do my eyes immediately pop? Well, my eyes immediately try to pop up here to the baby's face because it's on the top third line. And then they kind of come back down here. But they have to work to travel down. And by the time they get back down here, the baby looks down. And now we're grabbing it. So they're trying to keep a lot of the mystery action here in one of these outer quadrants. Or one of these not quadrants, one of these outer ninths, because it's harder for us to keep our attention there. And so it's less easy for us to tell what's going on. Now, one other thing, I'm going to come back a little bit here, because we missed something. Did anybody see it? So what are you paying attention to during this? Well, you're probably paying attention to the baby. And you're maybe paying attention to the pacifier because that's what you saw before. But was anybody paying attention to this little block over here? Right here. Anybody see that? Probably not. And the reason why is because the closer you get to the edge of that frame, the less likely you are to actually pay attention to it, because most of the time we, again, try to zero in on this part of the frame right here. And so this is a classic misdirection. It's basically what a magician does when they do sleight of hand. They make you look one way while they do something with this hand over here, and so that when you look back, it looks like magic. Our brains are very, very easy to fool this way. And I think that this is a really great short, and it does a lot of these things this way. And we're going to keep going. You'll see more, but yeah, it's on the outer edge. Again, we're kind of living on those thirds. And I like this shot right here. Just saying, I like the frame because his eye line is right, his head is right there on that third, and this pacifier kind of just stays right there on that third the whole time. Yeah. It's kind of sticking to the lines. Notice how it never gets too far out here. Again, third, and it's gone. Lands right on the third. And then even when it moves laterally, it kind of stays down here. Okay, where's the information that we need to know? Well, it's right here, and it's kind of in the center, in between all of these. But look where his eyes are looking. His eyes are a vector, and they're shooting you up here. So you don't have any trouble looking at that pacifier, even though technically everything's kind of happening in the center of the frame here, and not near one of these intersections. Oh, anybody see it? So right now, where are we supposed to be looking? Well, we're probably supposed to be looking at the baby right here, where he's taking up 3 of the 4 thirds, and then the last third is 3 of the 4 intersections, and the last intersection is being taken up by the pacifier. Why would I look anywhere else? Well, I probably wouldn't, but maybe I should. Do you see it? Okay, we'll go back. So if I go back to the beginning of the shot, watch right here. See that movement back there? Why do we not notice that? Well, I think a few people a few videos I've seen have noticed it, but I know the first time I watched it, I didn't notice it. Well, it's for a few reasons. One, it's underexposed compared to him. It's less bright. We naturally will pay attention to what's brighter in the frame versus what's darker. That's just what our brains do. That's what we're psychologically inclined to do. That's how our minds work. The other thing, when I see information up here, I will generally just kind of gloss right over it, because again, it's outside the frame. And this brings up another good point. And you have to think about where this animation was probably done. It was probably done in Japan by Nintendo, I would assume, since Nintendo is a Japanese company. And a lot of times we interpret frames in the same direction that we read. So I am from the USA. I speak English. I don't speak any other language, and I don't read any other language. And I read from left to right, top to bottom. Well, Japanese cinema is actually usually organized or constructed in a different way, because while I read left to right, top to bottom, so I'll start up here and I'll kind of scan the frame like this, looking for information. A lot of times you look at foreign films, especially Japanese films, and they will start with people scanning the frame over here and going down, and then going down, and then going down, and then going down, because traditionally that's the way that Japanese people read. And it's an interesting difference here, because if you think about for their home audience, this would probably be one of the least important quadrants, or at least important squares, in the whole thing, because that would mean it'd be really easy to hide something, because this would be one of the last things that they would see when they go scanning the frame this way. So that's why it's really easy to hide stuff right here. And then, like, if you're an American audience or an English-speaking audience, I guess, then a lot of times this information will be hidden either down here or down here, because again, we start at the top and we scan left to right. By the time we get down here, the shot may be gone before we knew what happened. So, anyways, moving on. Yeah, we're still obeying our thirds here. Boop. See that pacifier landed right there on that bottom third? And I could keep making observations here, but you guys get it. Now, this is a quick action shot. So whenever there's a lot of quick movement and and your audience has to understand what's going on very quickly, these third lines can be very, very, very helpful. Look at where the pacifier lands, and this kid's about to fall back on this elephant and go boop, and it's going to go real fast up in the air. So this is a very quick action. I don't have a lot of time to understand what's going on, so you need to make it easier for your audience. So what they did is they put that boom right on that third line, and there's not really a whole lot else that I would pay attention to. I mean, there's this bright red elephant, but there's not a lot of detail in it. He's not super interesting, and he's darker on this third line than the white pacifier and the bright pink, and so it's really, really easy for me to focus on this. And again, all this stuff up here, not really something you're going to be naturally inclined to focus on. And there it goes. And look where it lands. Right smack on that line. And now what's the shot? Well, you've got the baby here, and you've got the mobile here, and you don't really care about anything else because you've got two really important things to pay attention to on those intersects. Alright, and now what should we be paying attention to? The baby. By the way, this is 1000% one of the... They're not the fiery blowhogs, because those are the ones on the ground, but the flying ones, and I don't remember the name of them. This is 1000% one of those. And I did want to point out one more thing. Excuse me. Notice when he goes up on his legs, he is right there on the top third, and as soon as he falls down, see how fast he falls? He goes straight from there to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not even 4 frames. So not even fast enough for your brain really to register the motion. You just get, so that's why it kind of feels like he almost skips down, because they're trying to get him into those third lines, so you really focus on what he's doing. And by this point, we're not really focused on anything other than the kid. I do want to point out too, this bear has mushrooms growing on it, and they totally look like the Pikmin mushrooms. Whoa. Boom. Now, what are we paying attention to here, right? We're paying attention to mom, we're paying attention to the kid. Maybe we're still paying attention to the mobile, I don't know. But I'll tell you what we're not paying attention to is anything else over here and anything else over here. Because in our terms of the story, this is what matters to us. We've been trained visually, hey, when mom and the kid are here and they're on the thirds, this is all that matters, right? Well, that's going to come into play in this next shot. They're going to manipulate us because look what happens right here. Remember what I said about that lower left square? And also the lower right square. But again, this is made in Japan. The last thing they're looking at is down here, not down here. So as you're watching the kid and you're scanning down, you're less likely to see this until it's almost too late, till maybe like right there when you realize, oh wait, there's movement down there, and oh, it's gone. So what they're doing here is they're trying to what's a good word for it? They're trying to use your brain's own ability to train itself to expect things against you. Not in a malicious way, but just so that you just kind of just feel like something's off. But you can't quite put your finger on it again until you go back and look at it again, which is why this is a great teaser. This is what a good teaser will do. It'll cause your audience to ask questions, and then it'll cause them to go back and answer those questions by watching it again and diving deeper and deeper and deeper. This is the same thing that movie trailers do. They will give you just enough to make you ask some questions so that you want to go back for more. And then they'll move on quickly enough that you don't get any answers, and that's why it's called a teaser. And I would say this is a short film, but it is also definitely a teaser for some new Pikmin something, whether it's a movie or another game, which I think it would be super cool to have a Pikmin game where you've got to like avoid the humans. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I think it's a really, really good teaser because it does a lot of that using our brains against us. I also think there's a lot of cool visual cues, and I'm not going to point them all out. There's a bunch of other videos on YouTube you can probably watch for that if you really want to. But I do think it's cool. Like, this looks like some Pikmin following each other, and I don't think that's actually what this picture is. But this looks like some Pikmin following each other, and those little highlights look like the little flowers on their heads, you know? There's so many different little visual cues in this. And I do like this little moment too. Look at the pacifier over here. They didn't have to do anything with it, but watch it. See it? It's still and now the Pikmin let go. And where are we at? We're right on an intersection again. At the very end. At the moment that matters. And that's the end of it. And before we wrap this up, I do want to say I do like that they did not go with any extra movement on the floor down here during this shot, because I think that would have been a really, really, really easy thing for people to pick up on, and it would have kind of ruined the mystique of it a little bit, because it would have been very obvious, oh, there's something going on. I think one of the cool things about something like this is the fact that everybody... you kind of watched it over the course of the day. Everybody kind of slowly realized there was something going on with this, and a bunch of people on the internet, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram and TikTok, they've all been noticing little details all day long, and it's almost been a theory crafting exercise for the community as a whole, and that's exactly what you want out of something like this. You want that community involvement, because that's really what gets word to spread and what gets people excited about it. Now, just to wrap up, I think when we usually get a teaser or something like this, something that Nintendo doesn't really explain and just kind of comes out of nowhere, usually within a couple days or so, we have an answer as to what it actually is. So I don't expect us to go very long before we find out what this is. But I did want to talk about it because, one, I haven't made a video in a while and I really wanted to. And two, this is the kind of thing that's really easy for me to talk about because this is kind of just where my brain lives most of the time. But yeah, I really like this thing. I think it's very cool. It's very, very well done. And I love talking about stuff like this. So I'm going to try to do more of these. You know I always say that I always get involved in other projects and things and don't get a chance to put quite as much time into YouTube stuff as I would very much like to, just with having, young kids and a job and then also freelancing and everything else. And it's just, there's not a lot of time for it, but I do enjoy doing this. So I don't know when the next video will be. Hopefully it'll be soon. I would really, again, like to start making stuff, consistently again. But anyways, if you guys stuck with me this long, thank you again so much for watching. I do appreciate all of you guys. And, I guess once the holidays roll around, I'll probably start making more stuff because there's not a lot of shoots going on during the holidays. So at the very least, we'll get back to it then. Hopefully we can do it a little sooner than that. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you all next time.